This week, I walked away from not one, but two opportunities. Opportunities that look like revenue, look like partnership, look like doors swinging open. And yet, they were anything but aligned. In this episode, I'm breaking down why I said no and why knowing your worth will save you years of heartache, energy drain, and settling for less than amazing. Let's begin. Oh my goodness. What an incredible week. And I can tell you right now that this week is shaping up to be a very different week than I had expected. And I just wanted to dive into what's happening and the lessons, the miracles, and everything in between. This week, I rejected not one, but two opportunities. Two opportunities for partnership, two opportunities for collaboration, and for potential revenue. And I wanted to dive into each one of these and just share what happened and the lessons, the insights, the miracles, the blessings around each one. The first opportunity, I was about to help this company with a sales role, with relationship building and partnerships and so on and so forth. Now, I love sales. I have had to work a lot to shift my sales mindset. And for me, selling is about cultivating relationships. Selling is about serving. And selling is about really aligning to the product service and really helping the person across the table step into a different reality, step into a different solution. And for me, sales today is extremely aligned. So I started this conversation with this gentleman about 8 weeks ago before my trip to Dubai and Greece. He mentioned he needed help with this opportunity. And I had a first conversation with his CRO, his Chief Revenue Officer, at which point we talked through the role. We talked a little bit about compensation on a high level. And fast forward to this week, where I met again with this person who is the CEO of the company. Again, this is our third meeting now. And we're talking about compensation. At which point, he asked me what my number was. One thing I've learned in sales is you never want to be the person that positions the first number. Where the first number begins, like the negotiation really begins, but the second that you put your number out, you're almost setting yourself up for fail. And this is something that I've learned through closing real estate investing. Coaching is a little bit different. So he basically throws back, and I'm going to call it a lowball offer. A lowball offer where he wants the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planet, and isn't willing to compensate for it, like extremely low base structure. The commission really comes in when these incredibly lofty goals are hit. And I just heard the number, really stunned. Like, how did I miss this boat? How am I so off on this conversation? And where did this misunderstanding even happen? And I was just scratching my head, and I'm sure he saw the expression on my face, to which, he was like, well, email me something and we'll connect in a couple of days. And, by the end of the day, I didn't have anything to email him. I think texting emailing is such a cop-out, because especially when it comes to negotiations, you can't negotiate a lot of things via email or text. It just doesn't work. There needs to be alignment. There needs to be discussion. A compensation package for whatever isn't something that needs to be happening on the phone. It should be happening face-to-face. And it should be a conversation, not a one-way street. So I just kind of responded that first day. So let's schedule some time in a couple of days to regroup, because I think we need to talk about it, not go back and forth on email. And then as I sat through the last, 36 hours, I was just thinking through things. Where I'm going with this today is it all comes back to owning your worth and value and not apologizing. And in fact, it was really interesting, because when he gave me that lowball number, it almost anchors the number lower. And then someone on the receiving end is much more likely to agree to a substandard number, because the bar is dropped so low. And, and I've done some negotiation training, I've done sales training, all the things. And I was like, wait, this is really messed up. What I'm expecting for my services is double what they're willing to offer. And how do you even reconcile the gap? I'm not willing to meet in the middle. I don't want to bridge the gap and settle in the middle. Like, absolutely not. Well, when you know who you are, you're not going to agree to anything that isn't worth your time. You're not going to agree to working with people that don't honor your worth. And you're not going to walk into a situation that depletes you. Like, I imagine this opportunity, had I taken it, would have created some more opportunities, but there also would have been an opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of time, energy, building something different for myself, building a new brand, new beginning. And I just sort of sat with that. I'm like, wow, it's so crazy because this opportunity, even a few weeks ago, was a hell yes. And it quickly became a hell no. And what I've learned over and over is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And this very quickly became a no. Fast forward to opportunity number 2. Now, this was a little bit different because I was connecting with a coach, a consultant, and when meeting with him, I quickly saw an opportunity for him to go from his 400K sales revenue to literally increasing that revenue, and I'm not making this up, by over $800,000 in just the next 12 months. And he asked me what that would look like and asked for a proposal. And I spent quite a bit of time, 8 to 12 hours, and created this whole proposal on paper, sent it to him, came out like a 5-7 page Google Doc. And we were supposed to have a call to converse about it a few days after the proposal was sent. Literally, I'm waiting in Zoom for this meeting that's supposed to happen for 25 minutes. And 5 minutes into the meeting, I'm texting him like, hey, I'm in Zoom. I hope everything's okay. He responds, I'm held up with a client. When things happen, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. He messages me again and says, hey, Krish, I'm so sorry. I hate to do this, but we need to reschedule to next week. Today's packed, blah, blah, blah. Can we reschedule to Tuesday? And when I got that response, I was disappointed. I was excited to connect with him and go through the proposal. And I just was like, you know what? This is not my timing. It's God's timing. And I get to let go and let God. And we're going to meet on Tuesday. Fast forward to Tuesday, I get a text in the morning from this person at 7:30 a.m. And his response to me was on text, hey, Karishma, it doesn't look like this timing of this is a good fit. I just wanted to let you know before our meeting. To which I responded, okay, cool. Let's talk about it when we meet today. So I get on the meeting time, 5-7 minutes late, I text him, and he responds to my text with, oh, I meant to say there's no point in us connecting because we're not moving forward. Now, at this point, I'm more than irritated. I'd spent 8 to 10 hours working on this business plan to support your business. We've had 4 conversations up until then, and I'm okay with it not being a yes, but we need to talk about it and just give me the courtesy of showing up. Well, he shows up to this call again, 25 minutes late now. Gets on for 10-15 minutes and just goes through a list of questions, clarification. And I answer all of his questions. We decide to meet the next day. And I was really sitting with it that night. And I was sitting with what had happened on Friday, which is basically blowing me off, which is sending me a text, like a curt no, basically, without canceling it. And then again, ghosting me. This is someone that I had this, again, incredible plan to inject another, talking about giving him ample support in his business, supporting his 60 coaching clients to amplify their business, me putting my energy, my time, my resources into this partnership, which is what we were exploring. And as I sat with it even more that night, I was like, you know what? This for me is not a partner. This is not what I want in my life. Someone who doesn't have the balls to show up when things are hard, someone who doesn't have the respect of showing up at a meeting and actually double booking me, and someone who isn't accountable to their word and isn't even willing to show up and being cowardly in that way. And again, I'm okay with a no. I'm okay with a not now. I'm okay with a lot of things, but for me, what's not acceptable is how you show up. And the truth is, ironically, there was a service that he has that I thought was really interesting, that I also wanted to buy from him to support my business, which was almost K service, to which he's not getting my money. And he's not going to get my time, and he's not going to get my energy and partnership. And I'm going to save that for someone more aligned to me. And you know, it's interesting because this wisdom that I have today, honestly, I wouldn't have had that wisdom a few years ago. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, things are hard. Income can be inconsistent. It takes a lot of courage to go all in onto yourself. It takes a lot of courage to play the hard bet, to show up for yourself. And it's interesting because I was reflecting on my motivation for person A and then opportunity B, and I was like, I was looking to someone else outside of me to create some safety, some financial means. And it's like God is showing me that what's safe is me. Like my relationship with me is safe. My consistency with me is safe. My accountability to me is safe. And one thing I learned through my many first dates, and I've mentioned this, I believe, in that podcast episode a while ago, I learned that people show us who we are. I learned through dating that we need to calibrate on people's actions, that it's not what people say, it's what people do and how they show up. And I'm sharing this with you to save you a lot of time. So first of all, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Secondly, rejection is protection. And third, we need to own our worth and value. Nobody's going to do that for us. We need to create that within ourselves and find a way to be safe within ourselves, to create those odds against the world and to be willing to show up for ourselves. But what I know right now, and I've learned this as a coach, and I've worked with other coaches, I've worked with other people, I've gone through it in job searching and things in the past. It's so easy to become so enthusiastic that you just grab that next lowball offer, that next lowball client, the one who's an energy vampire, the one who's going to drain your time, energy, resources. Or you can decide how you want to live your life. You can decide what's acceptable to you. You can decide what is worth it to you. And when you know your worth and value, you won't settle for anything less than simply amazing. So I want to share these crazy opportunities that were absolutely a hell yes just a few days ago, and how they quickly became a no. All because today I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. I know what's worth my time. I know who I want to work with and what kind of energy I want them to bring to me. And for me, it all comes back to knowing thyself and owning thyself. And that for me, my friends, is a lesson I wish to impart today. Have a beautiful week.